Now with Louise from England, who takes LDN for psoriasis. Thank you for joining me, Louise.
Thank you.
Could you tell us when you first noticed there was something wrong with your skin?
It was approximately 20 years ago, just after my dad died. And I had it on my elbows, and the doctor diagnosed it as psoriasis. And it's in my family, but it didn't worry us too much at the time because it stayed on my elbows for a good few years before it started to spread. And I tried all the different creams that the doctor gave us, but they didn't work. So I just sort of ignored it for a while until it started to spread.
So how long do you think you had it before it started to spread? How many years?
I can't rightly remember, but possibly as much as, between 5 and 10 years, probably.
Really? Quite a while then, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so
well, I'm guessing, to be honest. I don't know exactly.
Yes. So, when it spread, where did it spread to?
Well, it spread more around my arms, and I got some patches on my knees, and they stayed like that for quite a while before spreading again.
Right, and then where did it spread to?
It spread all up and down my arms and to my lower legs.
Right.
And it got quite bad. My arms got infected, but I actually didn't know what was wrong with them at the time, so it was a while before I went to the doctors. And what happens is if psoriasis gets infected, it just spreads like wildfire, and there is not a word to describe the intensity of the itching and the heat that comes off it. It's really awful, and it really makes your life very miserable.
So how far did that spread at that point?
All up and down my arms.
So it was contained to just your arms and your legs, was it?
At that point in time, it was,
right.
Yes.
Okay. And even at that point, the medications didn't do much, is that right?
That's right. No, the creams didn't do anything.
Okay.
Well, they probably sort of knocked it back a little bit, but they certainly didn't make it go away.
Yeah.
And it just continued to get worse, really.
So
I believe through stress, through life circumstances and stress, it just continued to get worse.
And I suppose the more you were worried about it, it probably made it worse.
Yes, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So, did it go any further than just your arms and legs?
Well, 5 years ago, I had light treatment for my arms and legs, and it worked really well. It went away with the light treatment.
Really?
And I thought, ooh, it's gone, that's it. Nobody told us it was going to come back. I thought that was it. So 10 to 12 months later, it started creeping back. And it came back way worse than it was before the light treatment.
Really?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it just continued to get worse, really bad. And then my legs got infected, but I knew what it was because I had infected arms.
Yeah.
And last year, it got really badly infected, February last year, and I went to the doctor. And the first thing he said was, well, it's stress that causes that, Louise. So he said he gave us I had loads of different creams, and they just didn't really work. But obviously I had to take antibiotics again. And I went on the waiting list for light treatment again, because I thought, well, if it worked the last time, it'll work again. Unfortunately, I spent from August to March, August last year to March this year, having all 3 light treatments. So I had the yellow light first, because that's the mildest form, which worked the last time. It became obvious after a few weeks it wasn't going to work. So they put us onto the pink light, and then that became obvious after a few weeks that wasn't going to work either. So by this time I was desperate, because I really thought that, well, I had no reason to doubt that it was going to work because it worked 5 years previously. And then they put us on a Puva light, which is Sorolin plus the UVA light, and that started to work. But I was going through a divorce at the time, which was not very nice, and it just stopped working halfway through. My psoriasis because it was stress-induced, just came back, and it really came back very badly. And I was actually accidentally burnt us with the light on my body, because I had some on my stomach by then, and I ended up actually ultimately with more than what I had, and it would actually be easier to tell you where I didn't have it. The only places I haven't got it are my scalp, palms of my hands and the soles of my feet. It is everywhere else quite prolific.
Really?
Yes. Oh, absolutely awful.
Goodness.
And you just feel like a complete, I don't like to say the word, but you just feel like a freak, and like you've got to cover yourself up. I've even got it on my face from, my neck right down to my feet, even in the summer, which is really awkward. And I know it's just clothes, but it just makes you feel so isolated. And I mean, when it was infected and really bad, I just looked like I had the bubonic plague. And I just couldn't bear it. In the morning, when I go in the bath for work in the winter, when I get up early in the morning, it's still dark, and I don't put the light on to go in the bath because I can't bear to look at myself.
Oh.
Which doesn't work in the summer, because obviously it's light when you get up. But that's how bad it was. That's how much I couldn't stand even looking at myself. And when I tell people how bad it was, they'd just say, well, you look all right. And I'd say, but that's because I'm wearing clothes, so you can't see it.
Yeah.
And I'm very good at covering up the redness on my face with makeup. So it isn't obvious to other people when I'm obviously just my day-to-day life. But I know it's there, it's uncomfortable, it's itchy, it's unsightly, and I just feel like, quite frankly, if I could buy a gun off eBay and shoot myself in the head, I probably would have done, to be honest, before I got onto the LDN.
Wow. Did you have any other symptoms other than the skin?
I have, yeah. I've had uveitis 2 or 3 times, which is inflammation of the coloured part of the eye, and apparently that's linked to it. And I've also had arthritis in my foot, but that was about 12 years ago, and fortunately it hasn't fled since. It just destroyed a joint in my toe, which is neither here nor there. It doesn't affect my life in any way. But it just shows you the damage that it can do if it came back. But it hasn't, for touch wood, it hasn't come back. That's the only incidence I've had of the arthritis.
Well, the skin, I mean, that sounds horrendous, doesn't it?
Well, when it started on my face, I couldn't believe it. I thought, I can't start, because you can't, I mean, you can cover the rest of your body up, but you can't put a bag over your head to go outside. So I've attacked that with creams, 2 and 3 times a day, and actually put Betnavate on, which you're not supposed to, but I couldn't let it spread, because once it takes a hold, it doesn't let go. So my face, well, since starting to take the LDN, which I suppose you want to know about that now.
Yes, please.
Well, 4 months ago, I started the LDN because the doctors at the hospital wanted to give us methotrexate, and I don't want to take it because I work in a school and I don't want my immunity lowered, because I think I'm in the wrong job for that. But also my sister, who has psoriasis, she took it years ago and she suffered severe nausea and hair loss. So I just don't want to take it. So when I heard about LDN, I thought, well, I would like to give that a go, because it appears to have little or no side effects. So I contacted the doctor in Glasgow, Dr. Andrew McCall, and he prescribed it for me. So I've been taking it for just over 4 months now, and I would say it's within the last week that I've noticed a vast improvement. But I have to say it did get worse before it got better.
Right.
And I'd watched a YouTube video of a Jenny Sutty, I think she was called, and she had said hers had got worse before it got better. So I wasn't too worried when it got worse, because I thought, well, if hers did, it's, mine could. And then she talked about hers getting completely better. So I just kept persevering with it, and within the last week, I've noticed that there is a dramatic improvement.
Wow, that's amazing.
And for the first time in many, many, many years, this last week, I've got bare arms outside in the sun.
Oh.
I'm thrilled that I can actually bear part of myself out, and just be comfortable in the hot weather and have a sleeveless top on. Because I couldn't do that for years. I couldn't possibly do it.
That is such a great story, isn't it? It really is, and so inspirational for other people to listen to it, like you listened to Jenny's story. It's very important to share this
absolutely,
information.
Yes, because I think people should definitely try it. Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Because I'm so glad that I actually heard about it on an American support site.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the word, they send you emails through with a list of different threads that are going on with different conversations. And I just thought, well, I don't even know what naltrexone is. I'll click on it because obviously I've heard of the other drugs. And this man was taking it because I think they've prescribed it in America for quite a long time, and said that he tried all the other treatments that I'd heard of, and some of which I'd tried, and none of them worked, or he'd had horrible side effects. And he'd been taking this, and there was no side effects, and it was working. So that's why I investigated it further, and that's how I got to take it, and that's how I found out about it, just off the internet.
I would actually like to interview you next year and find out how you're getting on, if that's okay.
Right, yeah, that's fine, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story with us, Louise.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.